Welcome to Talks with Jess.
Welcome to Talks with Jess. I'm Jess, and on this channel we talk about anything and everything through a biblical lens. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what I'm doing on this February. I am turning 31, and I thought it would be an excellent opportunity to kind of take a spiritual reset. So I want to tell you exactly what I'm doing with that, but first I want to tell you kind of how I came about it. And then I'll tell you what that looks like. So all last year, God led me on this journey to understanding prayer and understanding it more deeply. He told me what to pray about every day for like 4 months before he was faithful and did what he told me he would do. And then when that brought up complications in our life around income, he said, hey, pray about that too. And within 4 months, he had radically changed or shifted us to another direction in our life. And near the end of it, he started really telling me, okay, now it's time to go on to the next step of your journey. And I really feel that he's preparing me for the future and preparing me for who he wants me to be later on in life. And I don't know exactly what that looks like yet, but I do know that he is putting just giant foundation blocks right now and trying to teach me all these different foundational things. And this year, I've felt him tell me that we're really going to have a honing in on our relationship, he and I. And he wants to get closer to me, and I need to make myself available. And so one of the major parts of that is making space for him. And I was thinking about it all throughout January because I kind of started doing a little bit in November and December, but January I got sick and I kind of just fell back into my old habits, which was not leaving any space for him at the end of the day. And so the thought occurred to me about a week ago, and I thought to myself, what if I did a whole year of just removing everything that I enjoy doing? Now this is really extreme, I'm not going to do this, but what if I removed everything that I enjoy doing, all the things that I use to distract myself, all the things that I use to entertain myself throughout the day, or keep myself kind of what I think of as connected with outside society as a stay-at-home mom? What if I removed all of that and replaced it with everything that I can think of that is biblical, godly, focused on spiritual aspects, all of that? And I thought, well, I might go insane. No, I don't think I'd go insane. I think it would radically change my life. I just don't know that I'm ready for that kind of commitment. So I thought, well, what if I did it for a month? A month is doable. 30 days, not that big of a deal. Not even 30 days because February is shorter. And I thought, you know, I have a birthday coming up. My birthday's in 5 days. It is now February 5th while I'm recording this. And I'm turning 31. I am going to be like now in my 30s, not just recently 30. I'm going to be in my 30s. And what better way to set up my year than to do exactly that? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop. I'm not going to read any novels. I'm a big reader, very heavy reader, and I'm not going to read any novels, audiobooks, nothing. That's like fiction. I'm going to only limit myself to nonfiction, but I really want to be intentional with it. No like self-help or anything like that. I want to really dig into church history and theology and apologetics and just deep relationship with God and spend time with people who have that kind of relationship with God that I want. And likewise, I'm going to do the same with podcasts and YouTube. I'm not going to watch anything on YouTube unless it is like sermons or people having conversations about theology and stuff. And that's not to say that any of the other stuff is bad. That's not to say that novels are bad or that I'm never going to watch another movie again or anything like that. But I just want to really refocus myself and hone in on that relationship. So I am going to allow myself to watch 1 or 2 movies a week because I really enjoy movies. And lately I've been kind of on a movie kick, so I was like, I don't want to remove that completely. I want to be able to still have 2 or 3 hours a week where I can just kind of do something like that. But otherwise, I'm going to be listening to the Bible. My goal is to listen to as much of the Bible as I can. I'm under no impression that by like power listening to the Bible for 2 or 3 hours a day, that is going to be like deep biblical study or anything. But I do think that I'm going to get something out of it. And I already listened through Romans in less than a day, just in spurts. And it was very interesting. Highly recommend it. Romans is awesome. I don't know that I'd ever read through it cover to cover. And while I have studied the Bible in pieces and I have read books here and there and stuff, there are lots of books of the Bible that I've never read in 1 to 2 sittings. And I think something really special happens when you read certain parts of the Bible that way, because you're reading it kind of as it was intended, especially the epistles, which is where I'm kind of starting. They were read all in 1 sitting, right? And it all builds on itself. And so listening to it that way or reading it that way, I'm going to go back and read Romans as well, because I want to get a lot more out of it than I did. And I know that there's like, you can do year-long studies on Romans, because as my husband says, he says in college that was a 300 level class. That is where theology goes to theology. That's what he said. And so it's so rich. I want to just like get a better grasp of what it's about and everything. But right now I'm working through 1 Corinthians, and I'm just going to kind of follow the epistles through like that. And then once I'm done with those, then I'll figure out what else I'll do. Maybe I'll do the prophets. I've heavily neglected the prophets, not because I'm not interested in them. I just haven't read them as much as I wish. So that's kind of what I am doing. What I'm not doing, I'm not going to listen to podcasts. I'm not going to listen to audiobooks, read books, watch any shows. I'm not going to watch any YouTube stuff. Usually what I watch is like booktubers, and I watch like sewing videos and a lot of commentary videos about movies and shows and culture and drama. And it's kind of, a lot of times I think of that as staying connected with the world. But I've been really thinking about how the people that we spend time with really impacts us. And I spend a lot of time with a very diverse amount of people. And I think that's a really good thing. However, where I'm severely lacking is deeply spiritual people. I do not spend a lot of time with deeply spiritual people. I take on pieces of the people that I spend time with, and I think most people do. And so if I want to be the kind of person who sees God everywhere, and if I want to be the kind of person who brings God into most of my conversations and just lives and breathes His majesty and lives in awe and reverence of Him, I need to spend time with people who are like that. And I want to be a deeper thinker when it comes to spirituality and when it comes to biblical thinking. I want to be able to think more deeply on it. Over the last year and a half or so, I've been watching a lot of in-depth movie commentary, and I now have a lot more language to dissect movies, and I notice a lot more things in movies that I never used to. And I want the same thing to happen with my Bible reading and theology and spirituality. I want to be somebody who has more language to talk about the things that are inside of me, or the things that I notice, or to be able to notice things that I never did and make connections that I never used to. By spending time with people like that, I think it'll give me more language and more of a perspective shift, so that I can really see a lot of the things that they do in life, in everyday life. So I'm really excited about that. So I've been doing it for 5 days, which is not very long, but I wanted to kind of check in and tell you some of the things that have already changed. The first thing I noticed was that I kept reaching for my phone to put on distracting things whenever I had any sort of quiet space, and I was like, no, I need to stop doing that. Well, I've listened to, I told you, some of Romans and 1 Corinthians, and then I listened to a handful of sermons already. I have a bunch of different audiobooks bookmarked on my app to be able to listen through, mostly from early church leaders. I'm really interested in seeing some of the things that they have to say. But as far as my personal life and my family life in particular, I've noticed a huge difference in me and just the way that I view things. My perspective is already starting to shift a little bit. I'm starting to see my children and my husband as, I'm starting to see them more empathetically and with more compassion. Like, for example, my son yesterday, he was having a meltdown, and he does often in the evening. He's 5, And by about 5:30, he hits a wall and he's just done. He's not ready to go to bed yet, but he is done. And if we're not careful with how things operate in the home, he has meltdown after meltdown after meltdown, and things just kind of escalate and spiral out of control, especially between him and my husband, because he gets frustrated. And that's not to dunk on my husband, we all get frustrated with this kind of situation, and he will discipline for him, you know, screaming at people or throwing things, which absolutely he needs to be corrected for that. However, I told my husband last night, I said, you know, I think we might need to enforce a ban on strict discipline after like 5:30, because it's not functioning, it's not making our life better, and he's not learning anything. The point of discipline is to instruct and to help them learn. And if he's not learning anything and he's just feeling more disconnected and more alienated because he's being disciplined, when what he really needs is to be drawn in, then that's not going to help him, and we're just going to keep having this problem. And I started really, like, it was like I could just clearly see what my son needed, and this keeps happening. I'm seeing my children more clearly, and I'm seeing their needs more clearly and more deeply, and I feel like I'm able to address that a little bit better. Like, I really was, I don't know, on day 2 or 3 of this, it just hit me how sad our nighttime routine is, because we're constantly rushing them to the next thing to get them to bed. And we have this beautiful opportunity to spend close, intimate time with our children right before bed, to get to know them some more and to pray with them and to love on them, and instead we're rushing them to bed. And that doesn't help anybody. Like, who wants to end their day that way, right? And so we have completely changed what we do in the evenings and shifted things around to accommodate for that. And I've been laying in bed with them and praying at night for like 5 or 10 minutes before bed, and we chat, and we, you know, I've been playing games with my oldest daughter before bed, and she is loving it. And it seems to be doing really, really good things for us. And it's only day 5, so I'm so excited to see what happens from here on out. To see how our life shifts, because while I firmly believe that the man is the leader of the home, the woman often tends to be the emotional thermostat. So we tend to set the tone. That's just kind of what I've noticed in both our home and in other people's homes. Maybe it's just my circle, but it seems to ring pretty true for a lot of people that I talk to. If I am on a rampage and I'm just like super frustrated and over it, everybody else follows suit so fast, including my husband. But if I am low key and calm and peaceful and approaching things with compassion and mercy, they are all more likely to follow suit and to try and mirror that. And it's almost like they're trying to match my energy. And I've been trying to be much more aware of that as well, which has come out of this too. I've noticed that over the last couple of months, my energy has been like really high. I've been kind of stressed, and so I've allowed that to get to me, and my voice has been louder, and I've been just harsher, and I've been short-tempered and quick with my words, and my children have definitely been following suit, and so has my husband. All of us have gotten to where we're just snapping at each other constantly, and we're just not very kind to each other, and that's not the home that any of us want. I'm really hopeful that this is going to be not just a time for me to reconnect with God spiritually, but to then also, through that connection, reconnect with my children and my husband, and help us all to come together and to just, as a whole, be more Christ-like in how we are with each other. So that is what we're doing in February, and I have a goal to make a handful of videos throughout the month to kind of show you or tell you what's going on, and then I'm going to make a video at the end of the month to tell you how it all went and to recap everything and tell you what I'm going to do moving forward, because I don't want this to just be a like, let's reset for a month, okay, back to old habits, you know. I'm really looking to pull some new things out of this so that I can incorporate some of these habits and practices into my regular life. I will bring back reading novels because I love that, and I will bring back doing other things that I like to do, but I want to also have a balance and to make reading my Bible more of a frequent thing, even if that means just listening to it on audio. I mean, that is a totally valid way to read the Bible, especially in the stage of life that I'm in right now. If that's the only way that I can really focus on reading the Bible, because I can't physically sit down to do it very often right now. Here's the thing, I can't sit down to read a book very often. But I do get uninterrupted time while I'm washing the dishes or while I'm cooking or whatever. The kids know, leave me alone. And could I train them or teach them to leave me alone when I'm sitting on the couch with my Bible open? Yes, I could. But I've already taught them to do the other things, and maybe it's just easier to slide that into there. You know what I mean? I'm looking for the path of least resistance right now because life has enough resistance with 4 small children, and I don't need any more than I already have. So yeah, that is where we're at. And if you are interested in joining me, that would be amazing. Let me know what you're doing and how you adapt things to yourself. If this sparks an idea of something that you want to do to challenge yourself to get more in touch with the Lord, that would be so fun and so inspiring to get to hear from you. And yeah, thank you for joining. I hope that it inspires you to connect with God in some way, shape, or form, and to take the next step in your journey. So I will see you on the next video.